Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to 2017. I hope you've all had a lovely Christmas and New Year. So today I want to talk to you guys all about the best books that I read last year. So this isn't just like new 2016 releases, this is just basically the best of all the books I read in 2016, from really old books to classics to new releases. Now, looking back on things, 2016 wasn't the best reading year for me. It was pretty bad, not gonna lie. It wasn't that I was in a reading slump per se, I just didn't read as much. It was quite busy in other ways, and yeah, 2017 though is the year that I will get all the reading done. Also, there will more than likely be video reviews for a lot of these books, so if there are, I will link them down below. So if you wish to know more about why I liked a specific book, do check out those video reviews down the description box. So these are in no order at all, but the first book I have chosen is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. So, I love Leigh Bardugo, you probably all know this. I recently uploaded my Crooked Kingdom book talk, we'll leave that below. But basically this book was just everything I wanted in a book, especially as it was the second and final book in the Six of Crows duology. It was just everything that I anticipated, but also more. I think Leigh Bardugo is one of the most brilliant writers out there, not just in the YA genre, but kind of as a whole. She is just fantastic at writing and world building and plotting, and Crooked Kingdom is one of those books that you cannot fault. The characters as well are some of my favourite characters, and oh, that book. It holds a special place in my heart, and I'm so glad that that series kind of rounded off the way that it did. The second book was the conclusion of another series, and I read the whole series in 2016, and that is The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. But the book that is going on my favourites list is The Raven King, which is the conclusion to the series. It is probably one of those series that will completely, it's just one of my favourite series basically. It is fantasy as well, you're sensing a theme here, but it's just so well done, and Maggie Stiefvater just has a way with words. I just fell in love with it. I think it was just one of those brilliant sequels, brilliant finales that I was so happy with how it went. So that definitely has a place on my top 10 books of 2016. So the next book for me is another big surprise. So basically, I don't read much literary fiction, and that's always something that I've really wanted to start reading, and I really enjoy literary fiction, I just don't really know where to start. So when I got sent a proof copy of The Lust Bohemians by Emma McBride, I thought this is a great place to start. You know, Emma McBride, she wrote A Girl is a Half-Formed Thing, which I believe won the Bailey's Prize for women's fiction. And basically she is, you know, an award-winning author. Her debut was a big success. So The Lust Bohemians is her much anticipated next novel, and it's kind of an exploration of sexuality and coming of age, and it's about this young girl who moves from Ireland to London, and she meets this older man and they start a relationship, and it's just so gripping. It was one of the most gripping things that I'd read in ages, but not really a lot happened plot-wise. It was very, very descriptive, it was beautifully written. There were certain passages that I just felt completely lost in because it was so beautifully done. 2016 was a year that I really started to read non-fiction, and I think I said it at the start of the year, start of 2016, that I wanted to read more non-fiction, so I was really glad that I could do that. But my main non-fiction book of 2016 was Girl Up by Laura Bates. So this is kind of a feminist non-fiction book. It's kind of aimed, I believe, at a teenage audience, as a lot of the subjects relate to kind of growing into your teenage years and becoming a woman, and how to deal with certain aspects that involve, you know, inequality and feminism and things like that. And it was just one of those standout books in the sense that I was reading it, nodding along to everything, and I just wanted to hand it to every woman I saw on the street. I just felt like it would be so helpful and comforting and empowering to lots of young women. So that was definitely one of my favourite reads of 2016. Now, it would not be a favourite books video if I did not mention Sarah J Maas, of course. So Sarah had two books out this year in different series. So she had the latest release of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, which was called A Court of Mist and Fury, and then she had Empire Storms, which is part of the Throne of Glass world. So I'm going to talk about these as individual books, because they both earned separate places on my favourites of 2016 list. First up, The Court of Mist and Fury, because out of the two books from Sarah J Maas that came out this year, I would say that Akamath, it was just perfection. I did not expect any of the things that it did, that it was just beautifully written, and I fell in love with it, as you can see from my book talk, which of course I will link below. I fell in love with this world, I fell in love with the characters even more so. I mean, I already loved A Court of Thorns and Roses, but A Court of Mist and Fury took it to another level. A Court of Mist and Fury was definitely, you know, completely up there. I would even say it's probably my #1 favourite read of the year. It was brilliant. Next up, of course, is Empire of Storms. So Empire of Storms is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series. We're only 1 book away from the end now. That's really terrifying. But essentially this book stepped the series up to a whole other level. And as I was saying, I think that with every book that Sarah J Maas brings out, she completely surpasses herself. I feel like every single book is stronger, if not even more stronger than the last book that she brought out, and her writing really, really improves. And the worlds get more richer and stronger with each book that she brings out. I talk at length about Empire of Storms in my review for it, which will be down below. But let me just tell you that this book was just everything I wanted. It was brilliant, and I really do believe that at the minute there is such a strong calibre of fantasy writers out there, especially in the YA sphere. Okay, so the 7th book on my top 10 list has to be a debut, which is Rebel of the Sands, and this is by Alwyn Hamilton. So this is kind of Arabian Nights meets the Wild West. It's just the perfect blend of fantasy and, you know, mythology, and there's beautiful language woven in there, and this was such a fantastic, strong debut. I'm also really excited because the sequel, Traitor to the Throne, comes out in 2017. Not long away, in fact. I think it comes out at the end of January, possibly. But I'm really, really looking forward to that. The 8th book on my top 10 list is a classic. And I didn't read many classics last year, just gonna be honest. I even tried to do the 2016 Classics Challenge. I failed, obvs. But I did read one classic this year, and that was North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. So I'm already obsessed with the BBC series of this book, and I knew the plot so well anyway, but I had never read the book before. So I told myself that 2016 would be the year that I read North and South, and I absolutely loved it. Not only is it one of my favourite books of 2016, it's now also one of my favourite classics, and I'm sure to be reading a lot more of Elizabeth Gaskell, but also I kind of want to watch the series again, let's be honest. My 9th favourite book of 2016 has to be Control-Alt-Delete, and this is by Emma Gannon. So Emma is actually a blogger herself, and she has done loads of wonderful things that I can't even possibly list here because the list is quite endless. But she's also created the Control-Alt-Delete podcast, where she interviews lots of badass women about their careers, and also about how social media has impacted their careers as well. So I already really love what Emma does, but this book was so brilliantly written and also nostalgic. Like, I was reading all her stories and anecdotes and basically reliving my childhood a little bit. There are some brilliant bits of this book, and it is non-fiction, so there are a lot of kind of anecdotes from Emma's past and experiences as well, but there's also a lot of kind of commentary on like feminism and social media and, you know, the workplace and everything like that, and it's really, really fascinating. And finally, my 10th best book of 2016 has to be Our Chemical Hearts by Crystal Sutherland. So this is kind of a contemporary YA romance slash not a romance slash coming of age story. That's a really bad description. Essentially, this book is about a boy who falls in love with a girl who is very, very guarded, and it's kind of like an anti-love story, I would say. If you haven't yet read it, do check it out, because it's been compared to kind of like John Green, Rainbow Rowell. This book also really surprised me because it is a debut novel, but it felt like this author had been writing for a long time because it was so well executed, and it was funny at times, it was also heartbreaking at times, and I loved it. So guys, that's about it for my top 10 books of 2016. Do let me know what your favourite book that you read last year was. I would love to know. As always, getting recommendations from you guys is always much appreciated. And if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned, do let me know below as well and tell me your thoughts on them. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for weekly bookish videos. And I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.